Hello and welcome to our virtual yoga class. My name is Vanessa. I'm here to support you for the rest of your practice. We'll begin class in a seated position. So we'll go ahead and shift into a cross-legged. Being intentional here that as you find that comfortable seat, that you're mentally preparing yourself for the rest of class practice. You're returning to your body, cultivating that self-awareness, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it takes practice to drop into our bodies. So we'll sit here. You're noticing your sit bones grounded on the mat. Those are the bones near your glutes. You're going to activate along a spine, and you do so just by noticing an active core, being purposeful in opening the chest, softening the shoulders. So we don't want an unnatural long spine where you're really overextending, shoulders are a little crunched up. Try to make a performance out of it. It's actually a very subtle process. Activating core, softening shoulders, chest is open. You can tuck your jaw back just a little bit. And then let's close our eyes for a few breath cycles. Eyes are closed. Notice the quality of your breath, no judgment of your breath. And then start to invite intentional breaths, lengthening the length of your inhale and exhale just a little longer than you're accustomed to. So we'll be here quite a few breath cycles. Either continue keeping your eyes closed, or if you prefer to keep your eyes open, you can open them. However, keep your gaze steady on one point across the room. A steady gaze, steady mind. Inhale, perhaps even exhaling, sighing out. Arriving to this present moment, letting go of your to-do lists, creating some more space between you and your thought streams, building the bridge of our physical and mental, emotional bodies through our breath. We anchor with our breath as we explore the poses, working our flexibility, our strength, our balance. This is a holistic yoga practice. And part of this is we are cultivating this inner sense of spaciousness and stillness to support our well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally. And we start to see those relationships just by being intentional about it, just by slowing down a little bit more, noticing the connection of our physical, mental, emotional bodies all supporting each other. Intentional breath. We'll invite about 5 more breath cycles here. You don't necessarily have to count the breath, it's more an estimate. About 5 more breaths, allowing your breath to rise and fall, inviting more intentional breaths where your belly expands, ribcage expands, where you notice that release. Intentional breath. Inhale, exhale, side out. So if your eyes were closed, start to gently open your eyes. Let's rest our hands on our knees, lift our shoulders up towards our ears, draw them back. So as I'm drawing back, I'm very purposely bringing my shoulder blades closer together, finding that release in that upper back and mid back, noticing any soreness around the shoulder blades and shoulders. Elbows are loose, close to my torso. And then after another round here or two, release. We're going to inhale, lift our arms up overhead, palms lift up towards the ceiling, elbows are long. Inhale, exhale. And then stretch towards the left side of the room. Still anchor your sit bones onto the mat. You can lengthen your elbows here. Try to soften neck and chin. Breathe into your side body, maybe even your lower back. Back to center and then opposite side. Neck and shoulders are soft. What I mean by that is you're not tensing up around the neck and shoulders. And then back to center, drop your hands right behind your head. Gently press your elbows back, drawing your shoulder blades closer together here. Take a moment to breathe here. Notice that mid-back, upper back. And then leading through your chest, your heart twists towards the left and towards the right, keeping your sit bones anchored onto the mat. Leading through your chest to your heart, inviting these twists. Don't forget to breathe. And then after a few rounds, release, hands on your knees. We're going to grip our elbows or forearms with our hands. You also have the option of shifting into a reverse prayer. That's where both palms come to touch. So your fingertips touch, palms touch, the edge of your hands rests on your lower back, mid back, perhaps the bottom of your upper back. Notice that type of breath that begins at the belly. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath. Release, now interlace your fingers, lengthen your elbows, draw your shoulder blades closer together. Chest opens, chin is neutral, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, two more breaths. Exhale. You can slightly lift your chin, lift your gaze. Inhale. Exhale. And then release. Inhale, lift your arms up, palms up, a counter pose here. We tuck our chin towards our chest, palms press towards the front, hold. You're lengthening your elbows, rounding your spine.
Notice that type of breath that begins at the belly, belly expands. Exhale, release. So we've opened up the upper body. Let's lengthen our left leg out and press our right foot right against our thigh. Let's flex our left foot, activating a gentle stretch around the calf muscle. We'll notice, or you can invite a little bend through your knee. You're going to notice that stretch in the calf muscle, and then also the hamstrings, just by lengthening your spine. We're going to start to drop our chest, our belly towards the mat. Hands can reach anywhere, thighs, shins, or toes. And then hold here. We're going to be here for quite a number of breaths. This is for you to practice that flexibility where you're inhaling and exhaling into a boundary, seeing where can you fold just a little bit more. Now, it doesn't have to be dramatic or intense or painful. Folding a little bit extra is just about cultivating that self-awareness, a little bit extra. It doesn't cause harm. Inhale. Exhale. Deep belly breath. Inhale. Exhale, one more breath cycle. And then release. Ground your right foot onto the mat. Take your left arm out. Hook your elbow right onto that knee. Twist towards the right. Take your chin to look over that right shoulder. Flex your left foot. Lengthen your spine. Your body is active. Try not to collapse your spine. And release. Now we're going to lengthen our right leg. Press our left foot right against our thigh. Lengthen our spine. Flex that right foot. Just activate that stretch in the calf muscle. And then start to fold over. Your choice if you want to keep that right foot flexed or soften that right foot. Breathe into your boundary. Remember, we'll be here for quite a number of breaths here. And notice your belly expand. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. About 2 more breath cycles here. Breathe into your boundaries. See if you can fold just a little bit more. And then release the pose. Plant your left foot right onto the mat. You're lengthening the spine. Taking your right arm out, flexing that right foot, hooking your right elbow onto that left knee. Twist towards the left. Inhale. And exhale, release. Let's shift into a tabletop. Hands right beneath your shoulders. Knees, hips width distance apart. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips, hold. And then release your knee back onto the mat. Opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, hold. Release your knee onto the mat. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. 2 more rounds. Inhale up. Exhale, round your spine. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale. It's going to help you find a much more mindful approach to your practice. Shift back into a neutral tabletop. 1 more round. We lift our left leg, bend our knees, stack our hips. So the more we bend our knee and open up the hip, we're going to activate that stretch in the quad, glute, and hip. Release. Opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Inhale. And then exhale, release your knee back onto the mat. 3 rounds. You inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine into a cat pose. You're pressing firmly through your palms, lifting your tailbone in that cow pose, opening the chest. On a cat pose, you're tucking your tailbone in, chin moves towards your chest. You want to release any tightness, any compression throughout the lower back. Mid back, open up and stretch the upper back. Notice your neck and shoulders as well. Sync up your breath. And then after those 3 rounds of your child's pose, ground that left palm onto the mat. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold. Right arm lifts up. Shoulder slides back. And release. Opposite side. Lift your left arm up. Don't forget that deep breath. Release. We'll ground our palms onto the mat. And lift up into a downward facing dog. It's our first downward facing dog. We're going to breathe here, distributing our weight on palms. Fingertips are spread. So as you're pressing your palms onto the mat, it will naturally shift your chest closer towards your thighs, and your spine will naturally lengthen. You can lift your heels and lift your hips. Imagine you're breathing in through the pores of your skin and exhaling through the pores of your skin. And then lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, hold. Bring your chest closer towards that left thigh, and then release your foot back down to the mat. Take a generous breath. And now lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Left knee now moves towards that left elbow. Hover here, planting your palms onto the mat. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. We're going to take our gaze forward, lift or shift into a forward fold. Neck and head are soft. Let's sweep our arms up overhead, grounding our heels onto the mat as we lengthen our spine. We're going to stay in an extended mountain pose. That means your arms lift, palms face each other, chest is open. You can lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. Remain here, arms radiating out. Distribute weight on your heels. You're grounded and strong. And now hands meet in front of your heart center. Generous breath. Inhale here. And exhale. Lift your arms up, two-legged balance. Palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up. Hold. Inhale. And then exhale, release your hands, release your heels. You're gonna take your arms out to a T. Make sure your feet are grounded onto the mat, hips width distance apart. And then take a moment to notice your feet. Sometimes our feet will shift towards the corners of the room or shift a little bit inwards. Make sure that they're straight ahead. And now anchoring here with your feet, twist towards the right, leading through your chest, your heart. Take your gaze to look over that right hand. Back to center and then opposite side. Look over your left hand. Inhale, exhale, back to center. Release your hands. Either cup your forearms, your elbows with your hands. You also have the option of reverse prayer. That's with both palms touch. And then you purposely lift those palms, those hands a little higher. Let's remain here. Spine is long. Inhale. Exhale. You can invite a little subtle arch to your spine. Lift your chin, lift your gaze. Move so slowly. Hold. Inhale. And exhale, release. We'll shift into a warrior two, taking our left foot forward. Our left foot will be in a 90-degree angle. Right leg steps back. Right foot is in a diagonal. There's a natural opening to your hips. Arms are parallel to the floor. Take your gaze over that left hand. Keep your gaze steady. Imagine a line of energy from one fingertip to the opposite fingertip. Ground through your heels. Notice that line of energy from the base of your spine through the crown of your head. This is a pose of strength and stability, and by generous breaths as your body is active. Inhale, exhale, engage your glutes, your quads. Release that right hand right behind that left thigh. Lift your left arm up. You're strengthening and opening throughout the lower back, side body. Back to center, warrior two, inhale. Exhale, now you're gonna bring that right arm over as if you're holding a big ball between your hands, a big beach ball. Inhale. Exhale, keep it bent to that left knee. Inhale. Exhale, start to lengthen that left leg. Drop your left hand down to your shin, ankle, or all the way down towards the floor. Take your right arm up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze up. If that creates strain on your neck, you can drop your gaze towards the floor. Do be purposeful and lengthening that right arm up towards the ceiling. You're breathing also into that left hip, left hamstring. Anchor through that right heel. And then release both hands. Frame that left foot, soften your neck, your head. Deep belly breath. Breathe into your left hip, hamstring, and glutes. Soften your neck, your head. Now pivot that right foot, so you're in a low lunge. Plant that right hand onto the mat right beneath your shoulder. You're going to lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Optionally, you can release that right knee onto the mat. Deep belly breath. Release your left hand, step back, downward facing dog. In your down dog, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And then release your foot back down towards the floor, opposite side. Lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale halfway up. Exhale. Release your choice. You can roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Take a moment to ground here. You can come into a mountain pose with hands framing your hips or hands in front of your chest as I'm demonstrating. Eyes closed or open. We're welcoming our breath, which is a process of welcoming our experience. Inhaling and exhaling for the day we've had so far. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. And then inhaling and exhaling for the rest of our day. And this is how we start to cultivate that inner stillness, inner spaciousness. And sometimes in our yoga practice, it's more accessible. Sometimes it's less accessible. We appreciate either experience. You can release here. We'll shift now into a warrior two. This time our right foot steps forward. Right foot is at a 90-degree angle. Left foot steps back. Left foot is in a diagonal. Hips are open. Arms stack. They're parallel to the floor. Keep your gaze over that right hand. Arms radiate in opposite direction. Chest is open. Notice that cross of energy. A line from one fingertip to the opposite fingertip. Notice the base of the spine to the crown of your head. You're active, present. This is a pose of strength and stability. It's our warrior two. Engage your glutes here. Helps with that endurance, that strength. And then release your left hand right behind your thigh. Lift your right arm up. Back to center, warrior two. Inhale. Exhale. And then lengthen that, and then take your left arm over. Imagine you're holding that beach ball between our hands. Core is active here. Keep a bend to that right knee. Sit into that right hip. And now lengthen that right knee. Drop that right hand to shin, ankle, or floor. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze up. If that creates strain on your neck, release your gaze towards the floor. Notice that breath, it begins with the belly. And then release that hand, both hands free. That right foot soft in your neck and head. Breathe into your right glute, hip, and hamstring. We can lengthen that right knee. Inhale. Exhale, pivot that left foot. Low lunge, plant that left hand onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Optional if you want to drop that left knee onto the mat. And then release your hand onto the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. In your down dog, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, hold. Bring your chest closer towards that right thigh. Deep belly breath. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Generous breath. And then opposite leg, lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, hold, press through your palms, generous breath, hold, holding the pose, not holding the breath. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. Drop down into a child's pose, knees close together or towards the edges of the mat. Inhale. Exhale. If you use cycles of breath, if you have trouble concentrating, just lengthen the length of your inhale and exhale a little longer than you're accustomed to. Inhale. And then exhale. You can start to release your child's pose. Round palms onto the mat. Downward facing dog. Breathe into the backs of your legs here. Inhale, exhale. And now take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. And then your choice how you come up to standing. You can roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Either expression of mountain pose, make this your personal practice. Hands can frame your hips, palms towards the front, or hands can be in front of your heart center. Inhale here. And exhale, release. We're gonna go ahead and shift into our goddess pose. We're gonna lengthen our stance. Right toes to the right, left toes to the left. Tuck your tailbone in. 90-degree bend to your knees, hands in front of your heart, or you can take your arms out as so. Tuck that tailbone in, sit into your seat. Breathe into your heels. One more breath, inner smile, inhale. Exhale. And release the pose. Point your toes forward, keep that long stance. Hands to your hips. Wide-legged forward fold. Fold halfway, taking a moment here to breathe into the backs of your legs. And then several options here as you drop your torso, drop your head. Your fingers can grip your big toes. You can cup your elbows with your hands. Hands can rest on the floor. Do be mindful of softening neck and head, dropping the belly. Hear your inhale and your exhale. Invite a micro bend to your knees. Try not to lock your knees. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more breath cycles. And then hands to your hips, lift halfway. And then all the way up. One more time, our goddess pose. Point your toes to the right, to the left, tuck your tailbone in. Hands in front of your heart center. Or hands, arms lifted. Inhale. Exhale. Soften neck, shoulders. Engage your glutes, your quads. Core is active. And release the pose. Last wide-legged forward fold, toes towards the front. Hands to your hips, fold halfway. And then all the way down. If you want to invite an upper body stretch, you can interlace your fingers, draw your shoulder blades together, lengthen your elbows. Deep belly breath. And take your hands to your hips, lift halfway, and then all the way up. Let's go ahead and shift here. We're gonna move into our malasana, our squat. We're gonna bend our knees, take your hands in front of our heart center. Lift our heels here, elbows right against our knees here. It's a balanced pose as we're on the balls of our feet. Heels are lifted. Inhale, and then exhale, release. Now we'll take our legs out into the shape of a V. Lead your chest towards the right. Hands to our thighs, shins, or toes. Hold. Our goal is to fold down the middle. Three breaths here. And then release, opposite side. Heart shifts towards the left, fold. Notice your boundary. And release. From here, down the center, just take your hands forward, inch them forward, and just see where you stop. Inhale, exhale, folding belly moves towards the mat. And then release your hands. We're going to go ahead and take both soles of our feet to touch. Fold here, leading to the chest, sliding your shoulders back. Soften neck. And release. We'll shift into a cross-legged position. Hands on your knees. Drop your chin towards your chest. And then roll your head from one shoulder to the next. You want to be purposeful here in isolating areas that feel sore or tense around the sides of the neck, upper back, and shoulders. Let your head come back to a neutral position. Let's take an intentional breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Side out. We're going to shift into a boat pose. Make sure you have room behind you to lay down. We're eventually going to lay down from that pose. We're going to take our palms out. Lift your legs as high as you can. For extra support, you can take your hands behind your thighs. Do be mindful of your chest. Imagine a cord lifting you up from your belly or chest. Any shaking is fine. There's a lot of quad strength and core strength here. And then start to lengthen your legs. Slowly release, hover or work out. And then drop your head all the way back. Inhale here, exhale, side out. We'll bend your right knee. Take your hands over that right knee. Flex your left foot. 3 rounds, forehead up towards your knee. Drop your head back. Get that rounding, lower back, mid back, upper back. Activate that core. Release tension around the neck. After that third round, release. Opposite side, bend your left knee, grab your knee with your hands, 3 rounds. Forehead up towards your knee, drop your head back. After those 3 rounds, release your head back. Both knees foot off the floor. Grab your knees. Rock to the left and to the right. Massage the area around the tailbone, lower back, and hip. And then once you've done that, release both soles of the feet to touch. Palms up towards the ceiling. Inhale here. Exhale. Soften neck and shoulders. Soften the upper back, mid back, lower back. And by deep, full belly breaths, these are the full breaths you can go back to any time throughout your day. Refamiliarize yourself with that full breath. It takes practice. So you can more naturally fall back into it, maybe more automatically versus purposeful throughout your day. Deep belly breath. You're softening neck, down the spine to your hips. After you've taken a few generous breaths, you can let your breath go back to its natural rhythm. Do practice softening the body. This is a restorative pose. Your body is supported by the ground. And after another breath or two, we'll start to prepare for our final resting pose, our Shavasana. Palms up towards the ceiling, backs of the hands on the floor, the mat. This is a pose that teaches us the wisdom of slowing down and doing nothing. It's a pose that allows us to integrate our practice. Soften your forehead, jaw, and neck. Shoulders down to your wrists, palms, and fingertips. Soften the upper back, mid back, lower back to the area around the tailbone. And then down the length of your legs from your hips, behind your knees, down to your ankles and toes. And then we'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restore some movement to your fingertips and your toes. You have the options of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, pointing your toes, or turning your body to the side, remaining heavy, letting your body remain heavy and relaxed. Invite a generous breath and a leisurely breath. And then once you've taken another breath here or two, start to make your way to your seat, whatever that looks like for you. Make any adjustments that feel comfortable to you. And then we'll take a moment to acknowledge that when we breathe, we are welcoming ourselves, and that this is an act of self-compassion and self-care. So on that note, we'll seal the class, hands in front of our heart center. Intentional breath, inhale and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May we walk with each other in gratitude.